That's right, after what we saw on Monday Night Raw this week, I have decided that when it comes to CM Punk and Seth Rollins, and when we probably pull the trigger, we may just be about to have one of the best stories of 2024. Also, hello my friends, my name is Simon Miller. I'm a wrestling idiot and just enjoy talking about the grappling. I've got a friend today, it's the Pesipus. You may recognize him from What Culture Wrestling. Card just popped up. Make sure you subscribe to them and check out my content over there too. But yes, I saw it a couple of days ago. I got pumped, I got excited, I did an ups and downs on it. Also available over on What Culture. It's just a review recap show. And look, I watch a lot of professional wrestling. I'm very blessed to do what I do. I'm very blessed to make a living from this. There was just something so captivating about it. And this isn't going to be headline news to you or anyone that has watched wrestling for a long time, but it is the secret sauce when it comes to sports entertainment, which is when you can get reality and you can blur it with a storyline and get the audience to go, well, I'm pretty sure that they've agreed on this, but I'm not 100%, then you are on to magic. As far as I'm concerned, that is exactly what Seth Rollins did a couple of days ago.
Don't you dare call this place your home. Not only did you abandon it, but you actively tried to tear it down.
Because you can come out here and say, no, they sat down, they shook hands, they gave each other a hug and a kiss, and everything is just peaches and cream. And that could be the case, something I do want to talk about in just a few minutes' time. But you can never prove to me, even if he was right here telling me, I'd be like, you're working me, Mr. Rollins. I know what you're doing, and you should work me. That's the point of pro wrestling. Don't understand this weird stigma in 2023/24, where fans get upset if they've been worked while watching wrestling, but do not worry about it. But I will never believe that 95% of what actually came out of his mouth on that Raw wasn't how he felt about CM Punk. Again, we've discussed it before Punk did come back to WWE. Seth Rollins was doing interviews when there was all the hoopla about Punk in AEW, and he called him a cancer. That's a very, very emotional word to use. And, you know, Seth also did interviews as well. We've got to make sure we have parity here, where he said that Punk did so much for his early career. So I do think he finds him a little bit of a hypocrite. I bet he was annoyed that he called it his home. I'm sure that was planned. I'm sure they came up with that word, and they were like, wait, that's going to work. And I'm sure during that decade that he was away from WWE, Seth Rollins was very upset about some of the things that were said in interviews because, yeah, Punk called him a bootlicker and essentially painted him as the ultimate company guy, and that was a problem to a certain extent. Now, the reason why I actually think that's the greatest thing ever, and this isn't a knock on anybody else, we're not doing that stupid Twitter thing when you do a tweet saying, oh, I really like oranges, and someone replies saying, oh, you don't like apples. That's not what this is. There ain't no sub nothing. We're just talking about what we're talking about. But I think Seth Rollins is the perfect guy for this. He is such a company guy, and I mean that as a positive, that he will do business. Now, just to clear this up, doesn't mean you have to do business. You're also allowed to sit there backstage and go, I don't want to work with that guy. Perfectly fine. Happens in all industries, happens in all jobs, happens in all businesses. It shouldn't get over-egged and overcooked just when it comes to pro wrestling. But because Rollins is that guy, and he always has been that guy, and back in 2019, he even got in trouble for being that guy because he was trying to stand up for the place that he works and nobody wanted to hear it. He is one of the major reasons this door has been opened. And if he does understand it to that degree, who the flub knows where they're going to go? I mean, Punk said it himself the other day, right? That's the one time you get to talk, wiggling his finger like he's his mum, that's the one time you get to talk disrespectfully to me without getting some kind of a receipt. And now they've sort of separated because Punk doesn't want it handed to him, and Seth Rollins is telling him you're not getting it handed to you. So Punk's got to go away. He's got to win a bunch of matches. He's got to claw his way back up. And then probably it's going to be Seth Rollins versus CM Punk for the World Heavyweight Championship, night one of WrestleMania. And that is so damn crazy, we're probably going to have to do a separate video on it because, of course, Rollins has always wanted that slot. I know he cashed in his Money in the Bank briefcase at WrestleMania 31. It's not the same. I mean, it's still great, right? It's one of the best things that ever happened in a WrestleMania main event.
What on earth? This is brilliant!
That's how Rollins sees it, and I totally get it. Whereas Punk, one of the reasons he left, or one of the reasons he got so frustrated, is because he always wanted to main event WrestleMania. So if he does return, and both of these guys get what they want in that guise, well, I've already decided on this, but I'll double down on it. I'm never saying never again. It just goes to show, when it comes to the world of pro wrestling, anything can happen. You could debut, I could debut, your auntie could win the Royal Rumble, and I don't know, your dog Jack may be able to main event WrestleMania too. There's no ifs, buts, or maybes. We have no idea what is going to happen. And if we can extrapolate all that over the next few months, I think we're going to get to a fever pitch. And I also think it's going to help WWE so much. I mean, there's always rumors out there, already I should say, that Punk coming back and sort of spiking the ratings is going to help sell Raw. Maybe it goes back to USA now, maybe it is going to a Disney or an Amazon, or maybe Fox is now interested. We don't know. There's not enough information out there. But that means he's all of a sudden paid for himself. In terms of the actual creative, if we now get into January and Punk starts picking up a little bit of steam, jumped ahead of myself. I want to talk about WrestleMania 40. Let's just rewind. Here. My point is this. If we get to WrestleMania 40 and our two main events are Seth Rollins versus CM Punk and Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes, that is big time. Remember that WrestleMania? Big time. That is what this is going to be. And you're also going to have the nerd spin that you have a Cody Rhodes who went out there and lit the biggest of all flame against WWE and helped create AEW. And you had CM Punk that did the same in a very different way, but they're kind of two cats. And Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins are also very pro WWE, so that'd be brilliant. But yes, once we get into January, if Punk is able to, navigate successfully to the Royal Rumble, I mean, what we have to do now, when you go see a romantic comedy, it would be great if at the end, either the girl or the boy or the girl, the boy, whatever the hell it is, if one of the people you thought was going to get together just stabbed the other one, it'd probably be interesting from a movie point of view. But 9 times out of 10, when you go and see a rom-com, you want to see the boy get with the girl with the girl, the boy get with the boy, whatever. You want to see the two couples, the two leads get together. And that's what I want from my professional wrestling in 2024. I want the last two people in the 2024 Raw Rumble to be CM Punk and Cody Rhodes. Both guys trying to finish their story. They hinted about that on that Raw as well. And you can pick whoever the hell you want. It doesn't really matter. I actually think it's better if CM Punk wins and Cody doesn't, because then Cody can be completely down on his luck, because he tried once to beat Roman Reigns. He wasn't able to. What's he going to do now? Then he can go to the Elimination Chamber and win that and then eventually challenge Roman Reigns. But do you remember when Shawn Michaels had that amazing Raw Rumble in 2009? That's too early. 2012? The one when he wanted to face The Undertaker for a second time. So he was like, well, the dead man is the world champion. I'll win the Royal Rumble. And then you have to face me, Taker. You can no longer say no. And he gets knocked out. When he falls down, his facial expressions, the way that everybody reacts, it's all-time stuff, man. It's really good. And I think it's been way long, so we should absolutely regurgitate that, which is what wrestling does. It's cyclical. And we should ensure that the same kind of thing happens to Cody, because I just think he's such a whiter-than-white babyface. He's such a good John Cena-type character, or Hulk Hogan, whatever you want to call it, that I think we'll feel so much more sympathy for him. Whereas Punk has a bit more, I don't want to say edge, that's not the right word, but there's a roughness to Punk. He's a very, very different kind of a good guy. So I think you just want him to win and then come out and Raw and be like, there you go, Seth. I told you what I was going to do. And that's when you can start throwing the barbs. And there's no way they won't do it justice, because they're too excellent professional wrestlers. And I think we're going to buy into such a degree, it's going to be very similar to what we did with John Cena and The Rock. We are still talking about that stuff today when John Cena had mentioned The Rock's notes he'd written on his wrist. We're still debating, was that real? Was it a work? Was it kayfabe? Was it a shoot? And I really do think that's what Punk and Seth Rollins are going to do. And, that always leads to the conversation of, oh my gosh, what if Punk spontaneously combusts? Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. But you'd have to figure they've all had a conversation about this. And I think maybe with this one, it does make all the sense in the world. Before we go out there and start firing at each other on a microphone, we just agree what we're going to say, or we agree, even if things come out, because in the moment you want to make sure you grab that bit of magic that is in the air. We go backstage, we talk about it, we smooth it over, because even if Seth Rollins does lose to CM Punk, I think this could be a defining moment for him, and I really do think it could remind people how good he is, because he is underrated. As much as praise he gets, I think some people are way too mean about Seth Rollins sometimes. And when it comes to Punk, as Seth Rollins also said, I do think it's fair to say this is the last chance saloon, because if anything does happen backstage and he creates a negative atmosphere, WWE aren't going to settle for that, whatever the right word would be. There's rumors that Punk has got a behavior clause in his contract, which would make all the sense in the world. And I think Punk wants that. Punk is really, really good at this. I mean, just go look at all the promos he's done so far. They're absolutely fantastic. And while there is absolutely another chat to have about his professional conduct in AEW, that's not what I want to talk about today. And I want to talk about the fact that in 10, 15, 25 years, he doesn't want people to look back and think that his last thing in professional wrestling was throwing a wobbly in AEW and then throwing a wobbly in WWE. I'm sure he gets no joy from that whatsoever. So this is a chance to have an amazing feud with Seth Rollins. Then to, work with somebody like, I don't know, he could do the Cody feud. Obviously, we're going to do the Roman Reigns feud. He could do a Gunther feud. Drew McIntyre, he's already started throwing barbs. Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, that was there too. There's so much we can do with this. And WWE was on fire anyway, as you can see from recent analytics. To bringing in Punk has almost given them extra fire. So maybe they looked into 2024 and knew that fire was stifling a little bit. What did they do? They threw more gasoline onto it, which actually is a perfect analogy for somebody like CM Punk. So I'm super excited about this. I think even if they only hit it at 75%, it's still going to be one of those feuds that we talk about forever. What can the Pespers say in a negative way, I guess?
We don't like CM Punk, he's rubbish.
Okay, I'm worrying about the performer, not the person behind the scenes, who I don't know. I've told my CM Punk story before. I used to work for THQ, and he was the cover of the WWE 13 game. To shadow him for the day, because I was like the PR guy, so I was helping him out, and he couldn't have been kinder to me. And you can only judge people as you meet them, so he was very, very nice. But it got me so excited. I love that segment. I thought it was genius. I did give it a golden up in case you're interested. You haven't watched this week's ups and downs and you should change that. I would appreciate it massively. And now we just see where we go from here. At the same time, if you could interact with the video, that would rock too. Subscribe, like, share. Well, there's all the stuff in there as well. There's a cameo, there's merchandise, there's a bunch of stuff. If you want to support me, that would be awesome. But do you even do a one and done? That would be the other thing I'd throw out there. You have your big match at WrestleMania, but Seth Rollins, what, rematch? Then do we bring in some kind of stipulations? Do we separate them for a while? There is just so much fun we can do with this. And you do have this kind of asterisk, I suppose, in Drew McIntyre, because I totally think that he should be the world champion at some point too. And I think he should maybe beat someone like CM Punk and really draw a line under it. Or maybe Seth Rollins wins. This is why it's fun. WWE has done this before. Do you remember when Brock Lesnar came back and he lost to John Cena? Everyone was like, I can't believe he lost to John Cena. It was a test, my friends, and you can debate that in the comments as much as you want, but I'm convinced of it. And if they were going to test anyone, his name would probably be CM Punk. Thank you for watching. I appreciate you. Again, interact as much as you can. Goodbye.